life of Mr. Honorable Theodore Ted Blunt. I used to meet with him at least once or twice a week, call him every other day. And two things he gave me some advice on that I remembered. He said, look out for the pensioners and look out for your constituents, and that's what I do. Good afternoon. I'm Councilwoman Xanthia Oliver. Would you like to say a prayer first, Lisa? You mind? Thank you. They told me to start with a prayer. I forgot. Oh, I forgot. They told me to start with a prayer. I know I won't. Wow. Okay. Put me right to work. So, well, you come on over this side. They told me to start with a prayer. I couldn't do it.
Xanthia said they told her to start with a prayer and she couldn't do it.
That's right.
Xanthia, anybody can do it. It's a couple things you can ask for. Help, which, thank you, and forgive me. So we'll start off with just saying, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. Thank you so, so much for my dad, my mom's husband, grandfather, city councilman, city council president, child of yours, brother, Ted Blunt. Lord, we thank you so much for this gathering. We thank you so much for his presence on this planet and how he touched each and every one of us. We are deeply grateful and humbled to just walk even in his footsteps. And so right now, we just ask a covering over all the leaders who are here, that we may be able to serve humbly and do your work. We ask for help in our time of need. We ask for forgiveness for anything that we have done that is not like you. And we give you all honor and glory, because we know that you are in control even when we can't see the next step. We know that you will let the ground rise up to meet us. Even when we can't see what's in front of us, you will bring light. And so right now we are just praising you, thanking you, asking that you would just touch everyone who is under the sound of my voice in a loving, positive way. We give you all honor and glory. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. On the spot.
Thank you so much.
We love that.
Okay. Ooh, sorry about that. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Xanthia Oliver, Councilwoman 3rd District. It's a great honor, deep gratitude that we're gathered here today to formally dedicate and present this resolution in memory of a true pillar in our community, the Honorable Theodore Ted Blunt. Ted Blunt was not just a leader, he was a mentor, trailblazer, devoted public servant, and most importantly, a man of integrity, passion. His life work was a testament to believe that each of us has the power and responsibility to make our community better than it did yesterday. Whether as an educator, shaping the young minds, as a council member, amplifying the voices of people, or as a father, husband, friend, who led with love and unwavering support. It was his heart to serve that made him a legend in his own right. He chose to use his gifts not just for personal success, but to lift up others, and others he did. For 25 years, Ted served the people of Wilmington with the unwavering dedication, including President of City Council, where he campaigned education, community development, and the opportunity for young people. His leadership extended as far as these walls. He was a voice of wisdom sought after by many leaders at every level, from the neighborhoods to the highest office in our nation. But above all, he remained humble, a humble servant, always keeping his feet on the ground, and his heart rooted in his beloved city. He was a legend in his actions, his service, his vision. He saw not just what it was, but what it could be. He worked to ensure that Wilmington's youth had access to education, to their community. The centers remained open, and those who were in need, he didn't want to leave behind. Ted believed the power of collective progress, and today we stand here before this commemorative wall to affirm his impact will not fade with time. to his beloved wife, Miss Alice, his daughter Lisa, Theo, Mauler, his grandchildren, all who loved him. We thank you for sharing him with us. For that, we are forever in debt in his service. His love of Wilmington made this wall be a lasting tribute to his remarkable life as a reminder to people that driven by purpose and compassion can truly change the world. Ted, we love you, we thank you, and we continue your work. Councilwoman Xanthia Oliver. Oh, I would like to acknowledge Senator Brown is here, so you know it's going to rain. Any other dignitaries, could you please stand up? Thank you so much. We have former Chief of Staff, Tanny Washington, and I'm going to let President Trippi Congo introduce everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Oliver. You know, I never had an opportunity to serve officially on council with Mr. Blunt, but that did not stop him from taking me under his wing and just trying to make sure that I could be the best council person at that time that I could be. And he served. I didn't really grow up like knowing local politics here in the city, but I always knew that he was a council person. I always knew that he was a council president just because of his presence and his engagement with everybody, from the unhoused to the corporate leaders. He just touched everybody in a very, very special way. And I remember when he retired, I guess he never really officially retired. The person who came after him was, former Council President Griffith. I remember hearing stories about when they were campaigning that Mr. Blunt would just take over the conversation. And Mr. Norm was just kind of in the background. He was actually campaigning to help Norm be president, but Ted was just so familiar with everybody. He just kind of took over the conversations, and everybody thought that he was running again because that's just the kind of person that, who he was. And you can always tell a man by the seeds that he leaves. And it's obvious when you look at his wife and his family and his children, his grandchildren. But the seeds he left with everybody in Wilmington will always be, I'll always be grateful for everything that he just brought to our city. And he wasn't really a man about name recognition or pictures like we're about to unveil. But I know that he is up in heaven right now. And when we unveil this picture, there are probably hundreds of councilmen, members up there, but he's gonna be like, look at me. His brother said, yes, he will be. But I'm just so thankful just to be a part of this. Thank you, Mrs. Blunt, and your children, your grandchildren, just for allowing me to say a few words. And on behalf of all of us from City Council, we just want to thank you for everything that you allowed Mr. Blunt to do and to serve. And we just look forward to we can never fill his shoes, but just walking in his footsteps. Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to have our Mayor John Carney, come and say a few words.
I had a big story I wanted to tell, and then I looked at the agenda last night, and it said that I was allotted 5 minutes. So. But I am really delighted to be here with all of you, with the Blunt family, with the elected officials, members of council, the president, past presidents of City Council, to honor a really, really, really special person. We take the opportunity to honor individuals by naming public spaces after them for all kinds of different reasons. We honor them for important and notable things that they've done. We honor them for their selflessness in office. We honor them for serving in a way that exceeds the norm, that it's exceptional. We honor them for setting an example for others and for the rest of us, someone we should seek to emulate. It's certainly fair to say, from my experience with Ted, that we honor him and his service to the city of Wilmington for all of these reasons. Some leaders are larger than life characters, people that kind of rise above the rest of us in one way or another. Some leaders are humble and lead by example and by the power of their selflessness. It's often said that some leaders are, quote, show horses and some leaders are, quote, workhorses. In my opinion, Ted Blunt was a combination of all these qualities. I used to kid Ted, after he retired, that he was still, Alice, the best-looking public official in the state of Delaware. With his silvery hair and his slim, athletic build, the dude he had it. He was clean. We honor Ted today because of the work that he did and the example that he set. He was a strong and steady leader. He let his work, as he said, speak for itself. And for me, his character was reflected in the car that he drove. Not a big Cadillac or a BMW, but that little orange Volkswagen Bug. A car that almost smiled when it was riding down the road, and you could almost see Ted smiling there behind the wheel. And for me, that's what Ted Blunt was about. You're more likely to see Ted enjoying breakfast and holding court at Libby's, right, than dining at some fancy restaurant. I'm sure he did that, Miss Alice, with you. He was an effective leader on city council, has been said. He understood that his job was both to lead council, to respond to constituents, and to work with the mayor to move the city forward. And you think about it, by naming this space, this gallery, which we'll see in a minute, of city leaders after Ted Blunt, we are reaffirming the way he approached life and the work he did for our city. We are saying this is the example that we all should emulate. This is how it should be done. Ted also, if I may say, set the standard for being a good father and a devoted husband. He loved and adored you, Alice, and his 3 daughters, Lisa, Thea, and Marlo. And from what I observed over many years, nothing made Ted happier than to see and celebrate the success of his daughters. Nothing made him happier and more fulfilled as a public servant and a father than to accompany Lisa or represent her at a public event. He was so proud of Marla for choosing a career as a social worker, much like his own, and he always said that Thea was the smartest person that he didn't know. And for all these reasons, I'm so pleased to join all of you as we honor our good friend. We know he's smiling down on us for his work and dedication to our wonderful city. God bless you all.
So at this time, we do have a resolution on behalf of City Council. So I'm going to ask all council members present and past if you can join me up here. We can all read a little bit of this resolution. I do see some former council members in the audience. Senator Brown, don't act like that with us, man. I know you're... So I am going to...
We're gonna have to read, so I'm gonna just stand here so we can read. I'm not gonna cover you. No, I was just saying.
So I'm going to ask for each of us just to read just a few of the sentences or paragraphs in honor of Mr. Blunt.
Whereas, in alignment with the City Council 2022-2025 strategic plan of a transparent and well-represented Wilmington, it is the vulnerable duty of this council to contribute to the preservation and promulgation of the rich history of the city of Wilmington, including that of its legislative body. And start right there. Right here, start there.
Whereas the Wilmington City Council Commemorative Wall was commissioned under the tenure of Council President Theodore Blunt in 2008. His unwavering support was integral to the conceptualization of the design and final installation of the structure in early 2009. On November 15, 2018, during the 106th session of the Wilmington City Council, the commemorative wall was officially dedicated as an attestation to the men and women who have shaped this great city's growth, progress, and resilience throughout history.
The wall memorializes the individuals whose collective deliberations have catalyzed the legislative trajectory of this municipality for the posterity, and whereas the realization of the commemorative wall is but one example of the Honorable Theodore Blunt's transformational leadership during his 24 years of service as a council member and later council president. A lifelong educator, his steadfast commitment to education has had a continued reverberations for all Wilmingtonians.
His institution of citywide college scholarships has facilitated the resources to support the educational aspirations of hundreds of local students. Mr. Blunt's allegiance to the principles of community empowerment was the impetus for discretionary community funds to be allocated to each council member, placing the onus on all members of the legislative body to extend their engagement in the well-being of constituents beyond these hallowed halls. The Safe Haven and Extended Hours initiatives at local community centers were adopted as a state model because of their significant impacts on city youth. The after-school programming he spearheaded improved access to positive youth development for countless families, and
whereas in his time on council, Blunt modeled fiduciary stewardship through his dedicated service on numerous public bodies, including the Finance, Expenditure Review, Bond, and the Audit Committees, the Cablevision Commission, the Board of Pensions and Retirement, the Home Ownership Corporation, Wilmington Economic and Financial Advisory Council, WEFAC, and the Port Authority, and
thanks. And whereas the Honorable Theodore Blunt stands as one of the most exemplary leaders in the history of the Council of the City of Wilmington, his legacy is marked not only by his largesse as a decision maker, but also by the high standards of ethics and morality he instilled in the numerous public servants who had the privilege to serve along with him. Right, yeah.
Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Wilmington, that this legislative body designates the commemorative wall located on the first floor of the Lewis L. Redding City County Building as the Theodore Blunt Commemorative Wall as a testament to his extraordinary life, legacy, and invaluable contributions of the Honorable Theodore Ted Blunt of the City of Wilmington. And
the Council of the City of Wilmington may this wall remind those who serve of the exceptional standards of commitment set by those who came before us. May it inspire all who look upon it to honor the endowments of our past, while always rising to the challenges of expanding on these achievements toward a brighter tomorrow. Be it further resolved that this legislative body deems it necessary and appropriate that any future structures erected to succeed succeed the Theodore Blunt Commemorative Wall on the first floor of the Lewis L. Redding City County Building or any functional equivalent place elsewhere in the future bear the name of this great leader in honor of his enduring significance to the history and character of the Council of the Wilmington City. Passed by City Council March 6, 2025. Akira Granardo, City Clerk.
I do want to thank my my former colleagues and the city council members who I'm serving with now. I know I kind of put you on the spot, but I think that Ted really appreciated that. And so at this time, we are going to have the unveiling of the Honorable Theodore Ted Blunt Commemorative Wall.
Oh, that's really, really nice. Okay, this wall is going to always be named after Ted wherever it goes. Marshall made sure of that. Okay, next we're going to have the Honorable Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Thank you, Xanthia. Thank you. And to the leadership of City Council, to the mayor, to all of the friends and family who are here today. This is so beautiful. Greatly appreciated. If you'll notice, tomorrow is my dad's birthday. And so it is just fitting to be standing here on behalf of our family to say thank you to the city of Wilmington, to the state of Delaware, to Philadelphia, where Dad was born and raised with his brother and sister, John Blunt and Catherine Blunt. Please stand. On behalf of our family, we are truly grateful for this honor. I will ask my sister Marla and my mother Alice Blunt to stand. You're going to see her. Richard Carter, Dr. Richard Carter, Marla's husband. Richard, please stand. And then some of the grandchildren are represented. My daughter, Alyssa, Thea's son, Miles, and Marla and Richard's daughter, Hannah. Please stand. As I said, I'm not going to speak long. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of our family. My dad loved this city. He loved these people. All of you, I look at your faces and I don't want to start telling stories, about on some of you or about some of you. Including Mayor Carney, who knew him as a basketball coach as well. He's got stories as well that he could tell, and I could literally go through everyone here and share incredible stories. And Mayor Baker, last night I watched a video of you and my dad talking about the city. before there was a riverfront, you know, before the scholarships, before so many things. You were in the video, you were in a couple of these pictures too. And I just want to say, service was important to him. Like, he woke up in the morning thinking about the people. He went to bed at night thinking about the people. He loved being curious and an explorer. And so it is represented in his love of education and his love of history. And this wall in particular was a way for him, when it all began, was a way for him to show our past, but also to honor the people who are in service today and all the people that help us to be of service. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of our family, we were blessed to have Ted Blunt in our lives in the human form. We are still blessed to have his spirit with us each and every minute of the day. Like so many of you, we carry him in our hearts, and he inspires us to reach higher, to do more, to be better, to be greater, and to love each other. We thank you as a family. We thank you for Ted Blunt. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. Next, we have Charlotte Barnes from Human Resources.
Good afternoon. What can I say? Before I say anything, much has been spoken about this memorial wall, but I have to pause and acknowledge and recognize the individual who put their hands to the plow to carry out the directive of Mr. Ted Blunt, and that was Edith Pridgeon. So she's here with us today. I'm going to get through this. So before I start my remarks, I have had this morning our second annual memorial breakfast with Senator Darius Brown. We made a pact that on every March 22nd, we would have breakfast. We didn't go to Libby's. We went to the fancy place.
The fancy place.
That he would go to. It was the Green Room. It's now Le Cavalier. But we had breakfast, and we will do that every day. Every March 22nd, as long as I have breath in my body, as long as he has breath in his. I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, so we couldn't do it tomorrow. So we did it today. Thank you, Darius. Most of you know I served as Ted's chief of staff. The relationship between an elected official and their chief of staff is very unique. Unlike any other manager-subordinate role, Ted was more than my boss. He was a mentor, a friend, confidant, and surrogate father after the loss of my father in 2005. Ted believed in, stood for, and was known for a lot of things. I will mention two today. He believed in knowing your history, and he believed in paying respect and giving honor to fallen public servants. On the history front, Ted believed if you didn't know your history, you were doomed to repeat it. So at a time when there were no women on council, when there were no minorities on council, he wanted a visual reminder of a place that where we have come from and where we do not ever want to go back again. And so he wanted this memorial wall to do that. The second thing he stood for was paying respect and giving honor to those fallen public servants. Now, we all know Ted knew everybody. And so he would read the paper, and if he came across someone, elected official, that he knew worked with, remotely knew, whether it was upstate, downstate, anywhere. Charlotte, send an acknowledgement to the family. And then he would add, and make sure it's nice. And then once he knew the date of the service, he would say, Charlotte, clear my calendar. On the day of the service, Charlotte, be downstairs. I'm on my way to come get you. We're going to the service. I have been to more funerals of elected officials that I did not know than you could ever imagine. And we always had to be there at least an hour and a half before it started. He had to be there. He prioritized being there. He prioritized thanking the family for the individual service. It's fitting today that we name this historical wall in his honor and memory because it reflects two of the things he stood for: knowing your history, the history of this wall, and then paying honor and respect to those fallen public servants. So, my big sister Lisa already acknowledged this. On the eve of what would have been his 82nd birthday, we honor him. We all have a position to play in life, one that is uniquely ours. Ted played his position and played it well. So on this day, we honor him, we respect him, we love him. There was and never will be another Ted Blunt. Amen.
Okay, next we're going to have Mr. Norman, City President, Mr. Norman Griffith. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Jim. How many years did I say that to you? Thank you all. For those that don't know me, I'm the one that was always saying, well, Ted's taller. There's a little bit of resemblance, and in any event, we both went through that. But a couple of times they mistook him for me. And they said, are you Norman Griffiths? I said, no. He would always say he's shorter. So, in any event, it's a pleasure to be here with you today and honor such a great man. You know, I will never forget the morning after the election in 1991, when I first got on city council, knock on my door, on my front door. So I woke up, I was still in my pajamas, and it was Ted. And he was there to welcome me to city council. Even though I had a Republican opponent in the general, he later dropped out. But until that happened, you know, I wasn't completely finished with elections when I won the 2nd district. And I still live in the 2nd district. So it's been a wonderful experience. And I don't have, you know, any doubt that as the years passed, and I served 16 years as a 2nd district councilman, when it was time to run for president, I wouldn't have been elected if it wasn't for Ted. Ted took me places and explained things to me, and I thought I knew a little bit about campaigning, but campaigning with a single district is a whole lot different than the whole city. And so I owe that to Ted, and I'll never forget, you know, some of the experiences that we had. But that first morning after the election, when he knocked on my door to welcome me to city council, it always sticks in my mind. And I tell you, the whole Blunt family has been a beacon of hope for the whole city, especially in terms of the things that they brought to the table. You know, I followed Ted when he finished his 2nd term and he decided not to run again. And I only served 1 term. But nevertheless, it was a term that even then, as somebody's already said, Ted was still giving me advice and leadership things. But we had to get along with Jim Baker. He was the mayor. and Ted really helped out there. But anyway, I just want to say that you know, it's been a super pleasure to be on city council as long as I was able to serve the city. and do everything I can to help the city succeed and move forward. And I certainly offer my help to Mayor Carney and all of his staff in terms of what they're going to bring to the table for the next term. But again, I think it's wonderful you all are here. You recognize all the good work that Ted did and what he meant to not only City Council and keeping that ship running smoothly, but also what he meant in terms of his example. A lot of times Ted wouldn't tell you something, but you'd watch what he did and you'd say, hey, wait a minute, I think I need to adjust a little bit, you know. And so he would teach in a lot of different ways, and that's what I loved about him. And I even got to ride in the Volkswagen one time. So anyway, all of this is just to say that it was a pleasure to serve under Ted Blunt. I don't know if you knew this, but for his 8 years as president, I was I was chairman of the Finance Committee, which is almost like the second in charge of City Council under the president. And so I really needed his help in that job because there were so many elements to finance in the city during the 8 years that Ted was president, not just because of him being president, but whoever it was, if you had that job, you had a lot to do. So, you know, and he had faith in me to let me, you know, serve in that position. And so I just want to say that, you know, all of these things, there's 1,000,001 memories that I have of Ted Blunt, but the one that really sticks with me is that morning in 1991 when he was the first one to knock on my door and welcome me for winning that election and becoming the 2nd District Councilman. Thank you all.
Wow, the stories. Next, we're going to have former President Hanifa Shabazz.
Hello, everyone. Well, I began my public service working on Ted's campaigns before I got involved in it. And then when Stephanie T. Bolden encouraged me to run, I would run under the leadership of Ted Blunt. So I came in and he took me under his wing, as Ted does. If you are one who is teachable, he will teach you all that he knows. And I sucked it up like a sponge. And many places and events that he always wanted to go to, I was right there with him. So he exposed me to so many different things that I had no idea was out there. And I took advantage of all of that. And you don't know how grateful I am to serve under such a person who gave so much. It was him who encouraged me to go and get involved on a national level with the National League of Cities. He said, come on, go to this conference with me. And all I had to do was pack my bag and I went. And him, and along with Stephanie, encouraged me to Stephanie made me stand up and just join the thing, whether I wanted to or not. But he gave me that opportunity and gave me that direction that let me know that there's a bigger world out there in politics and that how our city government is not just us by alone. It's all of us working collaboratively together for all local politics. And it just intrigued me so much, and he just pushed me so far. I was able to become the president of the National Black Caucus of local elected officials under Ted's leadership. And Norman, I know what you mean about watching him, because when we would go to banquets or events, he always had a different plate. I'm like, why did he not get what everybody else ate? You know, because he said, well, watch it. He showed me how he did it, and I did practice that. And I got a different plate, and I'll never forget the first time he saw me, he said, I see you understand how to do it now, right? Another thing that I learned from Ted always told me was that, you know, in public office, you get tomatoes and rotten eggs thrown at you all the time. He said, as long as they post a good picture of you and they spell your name right, don't worry about what they say. Because they're going to forget that, but they're not going to forget your name and they're not going to forget the picture. So that helped ease the stress. So I am so grateful to have been under his leadership and his tutorship. And also, I know I'm going to get in trouble saying this, but you know what I'm going to say. Ted's called me his fourth daughter. And so I have a plan. And let me tell you, everybody was upset with that when I claimed that. But, you know, I had to hold on to that. He blessed me with that at my birthday party. And so I always sign my cards to my sisters and them number 4. So it is truly an honor to give the opportunity for allowing me to say something about a man who made such an impact in my life. And that, you know, anyone who ever knows him, I know has been impacted. And we have to keep those kinds of fallen soldiers' names lifted and examples, because when we want to figure out how to do it, how to be a good council member, what is our job as a public servant, look at that man right there. Read his history. Do what he does. He's already laid the blueprint of how to do it. So Ted, I want to thank you. Latrell, thank you for sharing here with me. Ladies, thank you for being my sister. And all of those who love him, thank you for loving Ted with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Mayor Jim Baker.
Thank you. I was going by your agenda, by the way. Really, talking about Ted, I mean, you could talk all day and all night and still not finish the stories that you could tell about Ted. But I remember so much about Ted that, one, I thought I could beat him in basketball, and I didn't, because I was rather good. But he was better. And the other thing about Ted was that he loved his family. And I always told him, I said, the reason why you're so good, Ted, is because without those women telling you what to do, you wouldn't know what to do. But he loved his family, and he always tried to make everybody feel comfortable when you're around him. Would the geezers stand up? No, you're a geezerette. The geezers. Hey, Norm, you trying to hide. Now, all of us, we would have breakfast every month, and Ted was one of the geezers. Now, Tanny was the only one who wasn't a geezer, because she was younger, she was still working, and so now she's joined us. But we always had fun with Ted, because every time he always ordered so strangely. But we would sit there and listen to no butter, no this and that and the other, and applesauce, right? But anyway. But I remember Ted when he was the president and I was mayor, and he always told me, look, when somebody comes to me and if it's a tough problem, all I do is say, go see Jim Baker. But if you look at the record, for example, when you first came in, the city of Wilmington needed money. By the way, council, you still need money. New money, not this old money, new money. But anyways, we needed money. And working with Ted and a whole bunch of other people, he got through this effort of getting council and everybody working together, we got $13 million annually from the state. They didn't want to give it to us, but there was a whole bunch of people, and without Ted's help and the council's help, we never would have got that. You guys are still benefiting from that $13 million. The other thing is that we had the worst pension in the state. And we changed the pension through Henry Sapinski and others. 3 times we changed that pension so that I could retire and have a decent income. Not only did that happen with Ted, but also there was no retiree health plan for retirees by the city. Henry, Ted, and myself, and other members of council, we got a health plan. Well, I can tell you without that health plan, I wouldn't be able to afford my medicine. Because they charge too much money for that daggone pill that you got to take. Oh, not complaining. But over and over and over again, programs, things that have benefited the citizens, things that have benefited the city, the employees of Wilmington, Ted was at the forefront of that. And I did forget something, though. I wrote down what I was going to say, but I left it over there. So I'm improvising on this. But I do know that there's nobody better that I could have worked with as president of City Council than Ted. Because when we met and discussed the issues, all we had to do was to say, if we want to do it, let's get it done. And we got it done. And the city benefited so much. When you look at the riverfront, you look at downtown, you look at all the things that were done, and this guy here helped make it all happen. And this came about, Don Devine, many of you haven't heard that name, but he did the research to get all these names of former council members. And I want to point out something about Ted. You see these nice photographic pictures, but you don't see it in other places, do you? Well, I'll tell you what. See that over there? There was 2 judges that came to me one day, and they had these kind of pictures of city council and said, would you like them? And I said, sure, sure. But when Ted saw them, you haven't seen a change, have you? He liked them. And once he liked them, that was it. So council has that also to offer, is that he picked the pictures that will show future council members. I recommend the other side of the aisle, you got nothing but glass over there, because you're going to run out of space here, and you should just adapt that other side for future council. So anyways, one of the best guys I've ever known in my life, and one of the people that you could count on. You didn't have to worry about, is he going to keep his word or not keep his word? He did. And this young lady here, let me just give you this one, right here. Show you how much impact Ted had on politics. When Michelle Obama came here to speak, she gave a great speech at the Grand. At the end, this little girl was brought to the microphone, and she said, elect Obama. Or you said Barack Obama, right? Yeah. And I said, my Lord, Ted starts him that young. No wonder he wins. Thank you. God bless Ted.
Tina, did you want to come up? I know you said you would do something.
This is a surprise. But Tish, Lisa, our exhibit this month celebrates Women's History Month. And we've had this specially made for you. You're on the wall, but we thought that you might want to have this. So from the City of Wilmington, from Mayor Corney and the Mayor's Office, please accept. And also in one of my, I've been cleaning out some of my collectibles, I'll call them at home, drawers that have things that I haven't seen for many, many years. And I came across a bunch of photos with your dad. And then I have them back there, so I'll give them to you before you leave today. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome.
So there's some food in the back. First, I'd like to acknowledge our Chief of Staff, Elijah. Could you please stand up? And Akira, everybody who's a part of this, Akira, thank you so much. Marshall, she went upstairs. And I'd like to thank all the staff. Could y'all raise your hand? Everybody was really involved with this program. And I'd like to say something, and then we can go back there and get some food. Want to say something in closing?
Xanthia, first of all, thank you so much again for thinking of our dad. Those of you who know Ted Blunt, my dad, you know, they always say give people their flowers when they're still here. My dad didn't ask for flowers. Matter of fact, Marla and I were talking about this, Thea, the middle sister, when people would offer to do things for him, like name something or whatever, it's like, nah, I don't, that's okay. but I know that he is smiling. Right? John, it's like he is beaming with pride and joy over what you have accomplished. You have accomplished, everyone up here, his friends, his family, and we are just so grateful as a family. I forgot to say one thing. My dad knew how to count. Yes. He knew how to count money and how to count votes. That was, somebody asked me what lesson did I learn from my dad. I learned how to count. So that was an aside, but just to say again, what a great man. Yeah. What a mighty fine man, yes. Ted Blunt. Thank you for honoring our father. Thank you.
There's some refreshments in the back. President Congo, you want to say anything? Okay, we can go in the back and I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, especially Darius. I know it's going to rain. Senator Brown here, he never comes in town. Thank you so much. Edie, thank you so much, Edie.